Hello, welcome to Tara Institute on this coldish night. So I hope it's well worthwhile coming out into the cold. So I do the refuge prayer. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest assembly from the virtuous merit that I collect by practicing giving and other perfections. May I attain the state of Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest assembly from the virtuous merit that I collect by practicing giving and other perfections. May I attain the state of a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest assembly from the virtuous merit that I collect by practicing giving and other perfections. May I attain the state of a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Because the air conditioner is on, if you have trouble hearing, let me know. I've got this microphone really full on. Damien insists it's right in my mouth. So tonight, for people who might not have been before, I just talk a little bit about meditation. And then later on, in terms of other meditation practices, talk about mindfulness and introspection, which are two sort of mental factors. They're two aspects of the mind that we use to enhance and improve and maintain our focus in meditation. So meditation is the becoming familiar, is using our mind to become familiar with the object, whatever object we choose to meditate on. So we're using our mind and our body, because we have to have our body, relaxed and comfortable and in the right position. So and in Tibetan it just means to focus or to become familiar or to hold the object. So why do we want to do that? Why do we want to hold an object in our mind? Because if we're holding a virtuous object, or we're becoming familiar with a virtuous object can be a person or an image or a visualization or an idea or our breath. So we're holding this image. Why? Why do we want to do that? Because if we're holding a positive image or a good image, like an idea like compassion or love, or even an image of the Buddha, which represents all positive qualities, then we're not thinking of something else. So we're not being distracted. We're not having our thoughts all over the place. We're not dwelling on someone we can't stand, or we're not dwelling on something we want to get or have to have, or we're not dwelling on some negative self-image that we have. We're focusing, holding an image, a positive image. So that's what meditation is. From that level, and then we can attain right up to single-pointed concentration or calm abiding, and then through having attained calm abiding, we can then sort of penetrate and look at reality, like how things really exist, without our disturbing mind getting involved. So that's a very long path, that's a very advanced path, but it is possible. Not only have I read stories, but I've met teachers who I think have fabulous control over their mind, and I think through meditation it makes one, but people might think, that's sort of not thinking of anything, that's sort of just focusing on, nothing really. But it enables one to have more control over one's thoughts and to, be happier, be a better person, be easier to get on with, be more content. Because as the teachers all say, they say, no one likes someone who's unhappy all the time, And I think we all want to be liked. I don't know, maybe. It doesn't appear that we all do, but for some people. Mindfulness is a bit of a modern thing as well, mindfulness, but it comes from Buddhism. So mindfulness is just basically remembering the object of meditation. So if it's your breath, it's remembering, oh yeah, I'm meant to be focusing on my breath. You know, it's remembering the object, it's not forgetting it. So we use mindfulness. And if we don't have mindfulness, we're warned severely that we can be really led astray. Because if we don't use mindfulness, you know, our thoughts are dispersed and we have, you know, we're all over the place. So we must, the mindfulness is very important. And also introspection, which is, introspection is the sort of part of the mind that knows when we're off track, knows that the meditation object, it knows right from wrong, good from bad. It knows that we're getting into other, you know, ways of thinking. So it's part of us, part of the mind, that sort of brings us back to mindfulness. So introspection is part of our, you know, mind, our psyche. So with introspection, if we're drifting off, we use that to focus on our mind, on our object of meditation. And we also use conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is sort of really a state of mind that is free from anger and attachment and ignorance, and it also involves enthusiasm to sort of continue to train our minds. We'll do some meditation and try and be aware of these things, these mindfulness and this introspection. They talk about our mind being like a crazy elephant, the crazy elephant of the mind. Now, a crazy elephant or a wild elephant can create a lot of damage. But even human beings can sort of control elephants, even though they're much bigger. But they talk about the crazy elephant of our mind. So, I mean, we all know, we see sad things on the news and everything. You know, people who's crazy elephant of the mind has, you know, just gone run amok. So they warn us, we're warned about the crazy elephant. You know, it's much worse than the mind's crazy elephant is much worse than the normal crazy elephant in the village or in the forest or wherever. It's much worse. And so there's an analogy of controlling the mind. So we use a rope to tie the elephant to a pillar. I don't know who's going to approach the elephant, but with the rope. We use the rope to tie the elephant to the pillar. And then if it still gets cranky, then they use a hook, a sort of a hook to, you know, sort of subdue it. So in the analogy, the pillar is the meditation object, the object we're trying to focus on, whether it's our breath or, you know, an image of a Buddha or compassion or love or anything else. And the rope is the mindfulness. We tie our focus with the rope. The elephant is us, our out of control mind. And the hook is introspection. So if we're losing the mindfulness, the introspection will bring us back. I mean, often it's the person who leads a meditation who might say, look, focus on your breath. But these are the tools that we use for meditation. So if one uses these tools, one can really attain very virtuous states of mind by, using these tools to keep focused and to not, get distracted by everything. And also, subduing our mind can get rid of external threats, meaning that if we have a subdued mind, people with a subdued mind are less likely to sort of suffer external threats. You know, they can sort of calm situations and sort of control, you know, have more control, not overreact, not fly off the handle. So they're less inclined and people are less inclined to threaten or harm people with, you know, a subdued mind or a controlled mind. And then there's another, I love all these analogies, so, you know, we can't control, because we can't control what's out there. We can't. You know, we can't control all the negative influences out there. Impossible. But we can control our mind. And the analogy is like you can't cover the earth in leather to avoid the stones and the rough stones and the thorns and the pebbles. But you can cover your feet in sandals, in leather, or shoes. So it's analogous to us protecting our mind, and we protect our mind through meditation and through mindfulness and introspection. So we don't end up in any trouble. And also another way of looking at it, another analogy is like just as we would guard a wound when we're in a crowd, like if we got a wounded sore arm or something like that, just as we guard that, we should guard our mind against any negativities that arise in it. So by mindfulness and introspection, we guard our mind, just like we guard, what they call it the wound of our mind, because our minds are like not in a very good state, sort of, generally. So mindfulness is familiar with the object. It knows the object. It doesn't forget it, and it counteracts mental wandering. So we can. I'll just check here. Okay, so I wrote a definition of introspection is wisdom that can discern right from wrong, and I said that before, and knows good mental states. A lack of introspection means that we can't progress. Our mind is scattered and thoughts are dispersed. You know, when one first starts to meditate, one realises how, like during the day, our thoughts are pretty well all over the place. You know, and so when one meditates, one becomes aware of the thoughts, sort of, you know, all our thoughts, our busy thoughts during the day. So our attempt is to control those thoughts. And they also talk about the guard at the door. We need the guard at the door, or the thieves, which are the mental afflictions. They will rob us of any virtue that we have. So the guard at the door is if you don't even let the door open a slight bit, they'll come in, these thieves of afflictions, which take away our positive qualities. So mindfulness is like the guard at the door. So okay, we can, yes, and the thieves. And mostly we're advised to remember the sufferings of the lower realms, because if we don't control our mind, we can maybe go to these lower realms, which are hell realms, animal realms, hungry ghost realms, which Buddhists believe in. So we're always warned not to go there. Use our mindfulness and introspection. Okay, enough talking about it, and we can practice a bit of the meditation. So for breathing, we'll just do the breathing meditation and see how you go. See if you can identify the mindfulness and the introspection. I mean, don't get too distracted with doing that, but we can see how we can. Introspection is that coming back to the object. So it's always best to be relaxed, of course, because if we're not relaxed, then you know, we're stressed and we're tense and we're distracted. So we need to be we need to be relaxed, and that usually involves keeping our back straight because that helps the energy flow easily. And we can sit in a cross-legged position or whatever. If we're sitting on a chair, that's fine. So we sort of check our shoulders, that our shoulders are not, you know, up, stressed, that they're relaxed, and that our arms are not, you know, not too far forward, like so our shoulders are forward, and not too far back, but just sort of, you know, out from the body. And the hands with the right on top of the left, with the thumbs touching, and our tongue on the top palate, just what's comfortable. And our eyes, probably not good being wide open because light can be distracting, or being closed, totally closed, we might fall asleep. So our eyes at like a 45-degree angle, sort of half closed, say. Okay, so in Buddhism we always our motivation for doing the practice is just to, firstly, on a lower level, to experience the practice, to develop our positive mental qualities, right up to wishing to create the cause to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. So our motivation can be somewhere in there. So we think of our motivation. You can just think, for this amount of time, I'm going to be 100% focused. We can just use that as our motivation, focused on our breath. So, because our breath is a neutral object. It's called a neutral object. It's not necessarily positive, it's not necessarily. But if we're focusing on our breath, we're not focusing on anything else. So, we'll just for a few minutes focus on our breath. Focus on the breath going in, and get some sort of visual image of the breath going in, like a sort of a sensation, an image. You can just focus it going in and out of your nostril, or like your chest, sort of. One can count to 10. Like one inhalation, one exhalation can be 10, or one can just focus on the breath. Okay, so let's see how we go. Relax all tension in your body and your mind. Just let thoughts, if they occur, drift through like the clouds in the sky, and then don't engage with them, don't grasp them. Okay, I'm finished there. Oh, so how easy is that? Easy? Did we notice any lack of mindfulness? Yeah? No? Yes. So we can see how hard it is to control our mind. But if one practices, I think Geshe-doga said you can do an hour, easily, like practice get up to an hour. So, anyway, it's just good for us to look at and see how mindful were we, and was it easy, were we drifting off, did we bring our attention back, did we think, oh, I'm hungry, I'm bored, I can't do this, did our mind play tricks like that? Also with using concentration, like concentrating on our chosen object. We can use an image of the Buddha, or even just light. And as I've said before, meditation's not just practiced in the Mahayana tradition, it's practiced by all sorts of places. At a yoga school I used to go to, they would do different sort of meditation. So meditation's not just Buddhist. So it must be pretty, helpful, useful meditation. But I think that to use it to look at, our mind and what's going on in our mind, and how we can control our mind. So I will later do a visualization meditation, but also I thought, well, I would talk about one of the things, the mental attitudes that we best to avoid, which is self-cherishing. So we're all incredibly self-cherishing because even though we're kind, loving people, we do cherish this self, a lot. Like we have this idea of ourselves, like a strong concept of I and ourselves. And the self-cherishing is the thing that causes us to, want to have everything for this self-cherishing, and not wanting to have anything that the self-cherishing mind doesn't like. So we're advised to. There's difference. They talk about self-cherishing, which is putting the self first, and one meditation technique is to exchange the self for others. So in terms of developing bodhicitta, which is bodhicitta means in Sanskrit the awakened mind, the mind of awakening. The awakened mind is the Buddha mind. So bodhicitta is the awakened mind, the mind that wants to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. Like I said about the Buddha, he saw so much suffering, and he decided to go and experience deprivation and sort of starvation, and in order to find out why we all suffer. Why he saw a dying person, a sick person, a crazy person, and there's another one, a dead person, no? Yeah. So he sort of went in order to find out and he did find that out. He did become enlightened. He did develop a mind that has all the positive qualities and has abandoned all the negative qualities. So there are people out there who have, done this, who have practiced and started off just like us. That's like a thing when I was at school and talking about religion and God and all that. And the thing that attracted me to Buddhism was that we can all attain those higher states of mind. Maybe not in this life, but it's important in this life to develop really positive qualities so that when we die, which we intellectually know we're going to die, but we don't really sort of have a realization of it. So that when we die, we have a peaceful death and we can attain a human rebirth in the next life. So that's why we need to develop our mind you know, so that we can be peaceful and positive and compassionate and all those positive things. So I thought I would do a visualization on Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara. Does anyone know what Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara looks like? No? It looks like that big painting there. That's Avalokiteshvara, that white deity, we call it deity. And you'll notice that it has that Avalokiteshvara, which is the same as Chenrezig, which is another word they use for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, which is Chenrezig, meaning great compassion. That's a name that Tibetans use for him. So Chen meaning great and Rezig meaning compassion. So because I've done sort of breathing meditation and some analytic meditation, I thought we could do a meditation on a visualization one. So Chenrezig, just like Chenrezig, or in Sanskrit, Avalokiteshvara, is a deity of compassion. A lot of the deities, and then there's the Tara, green Tara. There's different coloured Taras too. And the white Tara down there. Yeah, and green Tara. So Tara's the deity of enlightened action, because Tara's got her right foot out, ready to help all sentient beings, her left foot in, restraining attachment and lust. And in these visualizations, all the colours and forms and aspects of the deity have a meaning. Have a meaning in terms of the path to enlightenment. So Chenrezig here is white. Well, we're not advised to see it as a flat painting, because when we visualize it above our head, we see as light. So, and because it's a Buddha of compassion, and he's holding like a wish-fulfilling jewel. So the thumbs are holding the jewel, the wish-fulfilling jewel. And Buddhists say that wish-fulfilling jewels, they must be pretty good, because you just pray to them and every wish you get comes true. But the human body, as I said last week, there's the perfect human body, which we all have, which not many humans have. Just the fact we're listening to Dharma. The wish-fulfilling jewel is not even half as good as having a perfect human rebirth body. Because through the perfect human rebirth we can attain much better states and things than the wish-fulfilling jewel. Anyway, so the wish-fulfilling, and in the refuge with the two hands, and in the one pair of hands, and the other one on the right is holding a crystal rosary. You can see the crystal rosary, which with the rosary we count mantras, and then on the left is holding the stem of a white lotus, the lotus symbolising enlightenment. So, as I say, we don't visualise this as a flat sort of tanka thing. They're called tankas in Tibetan. Okay, so we can do a visualization. When we do visualization, is to enhance our meditation. It helps with meditation. I mean, different people prefer different ways of, meditating. Some people are good. Artist friends of mine, or one artist friend in particular, she likes the visualization. That sort of helps. And we will say some mantras. The mantras, each deity has like a mantra. A mantra's like a sound of which hundreds and thousands, millions of them have been said, and it's like a resonates within our body. Mantras, they're the mantras of the deity. So the deity of Chenrezig is the mantra. Is Om Mani Padme Hum. So I'll say it a few times, then you can say it, whatever suits you. So, yeah, with visual we can meditate on the Buddha above our head, or we can meditate on any of these deities. We can meditate on light, all good, all the positive qualities in the universe above our head. So we're always visualising, actually. We're always, all day we're visualising things. We see things around, we see lots of things. And in the evening, at night, we're visualising in dreams and things like that. So we're all used to visualising. So it's a part of our mind, we can all visualise. And we're advised when we want to develop calm abiding or single-pointed concentration to have an image of the Buddha in front of us. And we go through different phases of mental sinking is where you're sort of trying to visualise and get single-pointed concentration, where your mind sort of sinks and you get really distracted and falling asleep, or excitement, which is where you're too distracted. So there are other sorts of states of mind that we're warned about when we're trying to develop single-pointed concentration. But we don't need to go into that now. In this one, it's good to open your heart, and we're all incredibly compassionate people. We have compassion, and compassion is one of the main movers of becoming enlightened. So wisdom and compassion, they're like the two wings of the bird that flies up to enlightenment. And because without compassion, one wouldn't seek to improve oneself or to help others. And compassion is not wanting anyone to suffer, not wanting beings to suffer. But it's not that sort of compassion where you get upset about it or where you feel morbidly disturbed about people suffering. It's a sort of more of a compassion that you want to do something about it. You're motivated to find out the reasons for people suffering, and then to apply that to oneself and to others. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he said that if you want to be happy, look after others. If you want to be happy in yourself, look after others, because if you look after others or have compassion for others, it makes you happy. You're not obviously being mean to them. So we will do the meditation. So if we get into a comfortable meditation position, relaxed. So the Dalai Lama said, if you want others to be happy, practice loving compassion. If you want yourself to be happy, practice loving compassion. We all have this potential to develop limitless compassion. And I will say the mantras at a certain stage. So we relaxed our body and mind, and we think of our motivation. Our reason for doing this is to open our hearts to the compassion, to the powerful compassion of the Buddhas. So imagine that all the space around us is filled with beings, all the beings, all of them, every single being, all around us, going into space. So we first think of the suffering of our parents, and other people we're close to. and all the physical and psychological problems they might be experiencing. And just like you, they want to be free of all suffering. And wouldn't it be wonderful if they were free completely of all suffering? And then we think of the people we don't like, all people who have given us a hard time, all people we hear about doing terrible things in the news. So we imagine their suffering. We imagine their physical pain and discomfort, their feelings of loneliness, insecurity, fear, dissatisfaction. And just like you, they don't want any suffering, same as you. But the stuff they do, they think is going to make them happy. And they don't want problems, but they have no choice, as long as their mind is confused and ignorant and can't find any peace. So we open our heart to these people, who we normally feel irritation and anger for. And then we expand our awareness to take in the troubles of other human beings, all the human beings. And then all the other beings, the animals. Because whoever has an uncontrolled mind always has suffering. But we don't get overwhelmed by all this, so we remember that suffering and pain and anger, they're all mental states, so they're not permanent. They arise because of misunderstanding and confused emotions. And once the causes have been eliminated, they disappear. It's up to us to work on our own mind and to figure things out and to be better people and help others. Okay, so we visualize above our head and facing the same way as us, Chenrezig. The manifestation of pure, unobstructed compassion, love and wisdom. His body is of white light. White, so beautiful white light. Transparent and radiant. And try to feel that. Try to feel the presence of Chenrezig above your head. His face is peaceful and smiling, and he radiates his love to you and all beings surrounding you. He has 4 arms, his first 2 hands are together at his heart and hold a jewel that fulfills all wishes. His second 2 are raised to the level of his shoulders. the right holding a crystal rosary and the left a white lotus. He's sitting on a white moon disc upon an open lotus, legs crossed in the full lotus posture, and he wears exquisite silks and jewels. So hold your awareness on that until it's stable. Experience Chenrezig's serene and loving energy. Okay, from your heart, to overcome misconceptions and negative energy and to develop pure love and compassion, we make a wish. And we feel that we are connected with our own true higher potential, our own full love and compassion. So in response to your request, your wish, Avalokiteshvara or Chenrezig lovingly sends streams of white light filling every cell and atom of your body. It purifies your negativities and problems and all your past harmful actions and your potential to give harm in the future, and completely fills you with his limitless love and compassion, and your body feels light and blissful and your mind peaceful and clear. So the light from Chenrezig radiates out to every living being, purifying their negative energy and filling them with bliss. Now, while concentrating on this visualization, with all the pure energy going out to all beings and enveloping us, filling our whole body, we can say the mantra. So we say Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. And we can say it silently or just sit in silence. Om Mani Padme Hum. And then visualize Chenrezig dissolving into white light, which flows down through the crown of your head and reaches your heart. Your mind merges indistinguishably with Avalokiteshvara's mind, and you experience complete tranquility and bliss. You are light and compassion. Whenever your I starts to arrive, think that it's not your real self. Simply bring your attention back to the experience of the white light. And all beings experiencing the same. And then we dedicate the merit of this meditation to developing, or to the happiness of all living beings, that all beings may develop true compassion. Okay, so we can dedicate that. Yeah, I forgot to mention dedication. Okay, so we need to practice. I mean, different meditations suit different people, and we need, if we have any difficulty with that, or problem, or we can practice to get better, but it's all about us sort of, trying to develop these qualities of universal compassion. I mean, compassion is universal. It's not, the compassion we're talking about, it's not just feeling like compassionate about, people we know, or our family or friends or people we know, suffering. It's really is being compassionate to even people who do bad things. And why should we feel compassionate to them? Anyone know? Well, it's probably because when people do terrible things, their mind is in such a terrible state that they're going to really suffer, like really, suffer similar to what they've caused, as Buddhists say, because we believe in, reincarnation and karma. So people who have created incredibly negative, harmful actions, for a start, when they have done that, they're just like all of us trying to be happy and not be suffering, but they're deluded. They're under a delusion. And they think that is going to, well, they don't even think, I think. The action just happens. So the compassion for them is that they, have a crazy, disturbed mind. And unless they can listen to Dharma or something, they're just going to keep on creating. So that's that's the sort of the reason why we need to have, because we can see that everybody's got a sort of a crazy elephant. So do we think that's fair enough, that we should have compassion for even the worst people, persons, animals, even? So anyway, worth thinking about. So any questions about any of that? Any question? No? All clear? No? Everyone's half asleep. It's too cold. Yes, well, I will thank you. There's cake and tea and things out there, out in the dining room, if you pass it on the right out there. And next week, normally us senior teachers, we do 1 month, and then next week another teacher will do the 4 weeks, or sometimes it's 5 weeks or something. So no questions? No, anyone doesn't want to ask me anything on this cold night? Okay, thanks very much. Thank you.